This is Stephen Powell, and this is the U.S. Free Speech. Today, we are going to focus on our commander in clowns, Donald J. Trump. Now, there's several different topics I would like to go ahead and get on when it comes down to Donald. Basically, the first one would have to be the Roseanne Barr situation. Um, I just, I just truly, honestly cannot believe how the moment that that happens, he automatically turns it to basically the self-serving, I deserve an apology type of situation when it turn a situation that to a lot of people offended a lot of people, and make it into a need for an apology on his for him, and not even basically condemning anything that is remotely racist. Now, of course, I mentioned before, when it comes down to Roseanne Barr, I do feel as if that maybe she, was just being an edgy comedian, just like the others. A lot of them like to walk a fine line on the edge, kind of like, oh my God, type of, comedy. I just kind of feel as if, at this point, she went a little too far over the edge. I don't really have anything negative against Roseanne Barr. I do feel as if that joke, however, was bad in taste. I don't even feel as if she's actually a racist or anything like that. Um, However, it was just one of those situations where, she kind of bombed on, you know, basically a bad joke. However, let's get back to the whole Donald Trump situation. Um, I mean, really, guy. I mean, are you really that conceited? I mean, I get it. I mean, you're the greatest jackass that we've ever seen as a president before. But I mean, in this situation, I still cannot believe that you actually believe you deserve an apology when the majority of the things that have been said about you or to you has been, for the most part, true. You know, um, and then also you mentioned the whole Samantha Bee because of the way that she speaks and things of that nature and so on and so forth. Now, I hope that you understand when it comes down to the situation. Samantha Bee did not come out and basically make any type of racial slur, any type of racial comments, basically insensitive to homosexuals or what it may be. No, she does what a comedian does and tells jokes. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, you might as well sit there and say that, George Carlin should have been lynched. You know, I mean, in all actuality, that's just what a comedian does. Which is another reason why when it comes down to Roseanne Barr, I don't feel as if it was malicious. You know, however, when it comes down to Samantha Bee, she has not even came forward to you know, say anything like, granted, oh wow, she roasted somebody, whoop de doo, that's just, that's comedy, and those who are all sensitive about, the whole joking situation at, the roast at the dinner and everything else. I mean, to be honest with you guys, come on, we're all adults. Everybody who is all sensitive and all this other stuff, look, that's just comedy. That's just the way things work, you know. So I mean, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. That's just point taken. Period. You know. Now, I've noticed also on Donald Trump's infamous tweets or twats, should I say? um, Basically, he mentioned how there was $7 million spent on the whole RussiaGate investigation and things of that nature. And I find it extremely hilarious that he would mention the spending that was basically made. He said that there was $17 million spent on the Russian investigation. Okay. Now, let's do a quick recap of what you have spent since you have been in office. Now, I'm not touching every single thing that you have spent because I know that you have actually hurled us further into debt. I mean, it's numbers don't lie, buddy. So you want to talk about 17 million spent on a investigation that could potentially lead to, finding moles. so to say, or finding somebody who is in cahoots with a country whose sole purpose is to basically kind of take us down and haven't necessarily liked us since World War II. So, in all actuality, basically, Trump, you have spent $147 million, which is more than the $17 million spent on an investigation. $147 million on personal travel alone. Okay? Your first year of personal travel exceeds 13 million. Now, you were one of the people who were bitching and moaning about when Barack Obama first got into office and how he took his family to Hawaii and, took a little vacation time. Now, in his 8 years of presidency, I don't really think that he actually ended up spending anywhere near what you have spent so far since you have been president, in just one term so far. And the sad part is your term's not even over yet. And you have truly honestly contradicted your whole entire statement, the way that you feel about the Obama administration and things of that nature, basically stating how, they're wasting money and how they're just good at nothing, yet you spend most of your time golfing instead of running this country. Now, also, another thing is you have spent so far 7 trillion on the war in the Middle East. To be honest with you, when it comes down to military spending, I mean, me personally, I'm not a huge fan of war. Just not. They're over there saying, you guys are sending our young men and women over there saying, oh, we're fighting terrorism and we're fighting this and we're fighting that. When in all actuality, I mean, I thought our military was there to actually really defend our country. I haven't seen one of them like a military step foot on our country yet. Well, besides back during the Civil War and things of that nature, and when the British, it's so long ago, it's ridiculous. And the only attack that America has had on its own soil by a military force is our own military, literally our own military. In Oklahoma, when you guys dropped that bomb on the city, and no, I'm not talking about the OKC situation. No, that was way before all that. Okay, our own military was the one who actually had attacked this country. Even when it comes down to the chemical attacks that the United States government have basically came out, admitted saying, in St. Louis, when you guys were basically spraying chemicals which cause cancer in that particular area. Yet, no apology. So, in all actuality, you have us over there in the Middle East fighting what? We're over there in the Middle East overthrowing governments basically because we're like, oh, well, we need to spread democracy over there in the Middle East. When in all actuality, we have families here in America that struggle, check to check, out on the streets, homeless. We have so many different problems here in America. I mean, hell, even our own police force that our taxes are paying for are 3 times more likely to actually kill me, a person who is actually helping paying their paychecks. Something's not right, and when it gets to the point to where people have to fear police, you're telling me that we will much rather sit there and go over there and have our military, wreak terror in another country, okay, but yet you can't sit here and stop the police here from raining terror on us. That makes no sense. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the firing James Comey, when you were basically saying that, oh, I did not fire him over the Russian investigation and things of that nature. To be honest with you, look, dude, you're full of shit. Period. What was the purpose of firing Comey? I mean, personally, when the whole entire investigation happened and everything else, at first you were just fine. And then all of a sudden, when you start to realize that maybe he has something, then that's when you decided to go ahead and fire him. Now you're attacking Mueller, who is just doing simply his job because that's what he's supposed to do. He's signed an allegiance to our country, just like our military signs an agreement to this country to defend the constitutional rights of the United States of America. It's not there to be your personal bodyguard. It's not there to protect you. It's not there to be your servants. I'm sorry to say, Donald, look, dude, you're in public service. You are there to service us, not the other way around. Which, of course, I know your ego probably steps in, and you feel as if everything should revolve around you. In actuality, reality check, homeboy, it doesn't. Okay. Now, then you also made a tweet regarding spies in your campaign and basically surveillance much. Really, guy, really. you know I'm not sure if you're familiar with the NSA Surveillance Act, because I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, you're such a kook of a president that you probably don't even realize past bills that were passed. The NSA Surveillance Act, you're also subject to that particular thing, because guess what, buddy, you're a United States citizen. Yes, it violates our constitutional rights, and yes, it should be gone, to be honest with you. you know However, in all actuality, whenever there's a situation to where there is a potential cahoots, so to say, with another country, or any type of potential link and affiliation between a person in this country and another country that is considered to be one of our threatened enemies, of course, yes, you are subject to investigation. That's the NSA Surveillance Act, buddy. So, in all actuality, you want to complain about it, but don't want to do anything about it. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay. And then you had basically mentioned the whole Rush Limbaugh comment regarding the Russian investigation and so on and so forth. Now, trust me, if there was a dead end on the Russian investigation, why would there be so far 5 arrests and 17 indictments? Obviously, there's something there. Obviously, there is something there. I mean, if there was nothing there, there would be nobody arrested, and there would be probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 indictments to try to see if they could get something. However, obviously they have something. Think about that one. All right. Well, wait, I forgot. You don't think. You just basically embed on the first piece of information that you receive, and basically just call it that. Fox News. And now, last but not least, the whole NFL situation. Okay. Now, of course, recently, the NFL, they had passed a basic rule, basically stating that players and any staff in the NFL must stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Of course, Donald Trump on multiple multiple. I was thinking vacations because you took so many. However, on multiple occasions, have basically stated how it's disrespectful to the troops and things of that nature, and so on and so forth. So, of course, he stands with violation of the constitutional right, as well as the right to protest, and also the freedom of speech. During that particular, in that particular situation, it's perfectly fine to violate constitutional rights then, though, huh? To basically shed light on people who is being murdered by police, 3 times more likely, by the way, if you're a certain color, and so on and so forth. Now, let's get into the whole disrespecting the troops. Okay. Now, I have multiple family members who are, military servicemen, Marines, Semper Fi. Me personally, I never served. The reason why is, personal beliefs. As I mentioned earlier, I don't believe in war. Unless they come over here, which is why I have the right to bear arms, and in that case, then they will have to deal with me. I don't believe in invading another country. That's not my thing. However, you want to know what disrespect to our troops are. Did you know that the majority of the homeless here in America is a lot of them are vets? I'm not going to say the majority, so I will actually retract the majority situation. However, a lot of them are vets. A lot of them went over there and fought for this country, and basically, as you and multiple other ones, is to go into a different country, basically protecting us over here. When in actuality, they've never been over here, but yet we're still protecting our rights, which to me makes absolutely no sense. It sounds like you're just feeding the war economy, if you ask me. However, the true disrespect is them. The ones that you pass by every single day, they ask you for change and you can't even sit there and give them a change. They go over to the fight and they want to be able to go off to college as they were promised. However, once they're done doing their little 4 year stretch, or some of them that goes for 8 and things of that nature, the moment that their service is done, they are denied the ability to be able to go to college and paid for by this government. Or how about those who come back with PTSD? The VA, just doesn't really do much for them. Lack of funding, whatever it may be, because they're so busy trying to kill a bunch of people instead of actually trying to save a bunch of people. That is disrespect to the troops. Those that basically come home and are treated like crap because of people like you who just like to celebrate a holiday and make it seem like you're such a great guy when in actuality not doing anything to actually help our veterans. That is disrespect. Okay? And then I want to get back onto the subject of the NFL kneeling. Now, personally, as I mentioned before, I mean, my tax-paying dollars are paying these police officers, and yet I'm 3 times more likely to be shot unarmed, and that is unarmed. Now, America is literally 12% African American. Okay, so you're telling me somebody who is 12, basically at a standing of 12%, is 3 times more likely to be killed, shot and killed? To me personally, it sounds more as not a war on crime. It sounds like a war on African Americans. That's exactly how it looks to me. And you can try to sit here and say, oh, well, that's BS and so on and so forth. But if you truly honestly put your ego aside and truly honestly look at the statistics and truly honestly look at the amount of officers who are killed in the line of duty versus unarmed African Americans since 9/11, if you look at the total amount, you will see which one is greater. So when it comes down to it, why should I be forced to stand, be forced to put my hand over my heart over a country who won't do anything to ensure my protection, who doesn't do anything to ensure that my children are safe? Why should I be forced to truly honestly feel as if I should show respect to a flag that doesn't show respect to me? It doesn't work that way. Respect is a two-way street. Now, don't get it wrong. I respect our troops. I respect those who sign up to truly who has the intention, should I say. I'm not going to sit there and say every single person that signs up, because some of them just sign up for their own personal, whatever it may be. I mean, trust me, I know a lot of people in the military, not all of them sign up for this particular reason. However, I respect those who sign up in the military to protect our constitutional right with at least that intention to do so. I respect those. Okay? I respect anybody who is willing to put their life on the line for mine. That's what I respect. However, I don't have to look at a flag with my hand over my heart and sing a national anthem to show that respect. When I see an actual vet, because trust me, there's a lot of them in my area that are vets and homeless, and I know which ones are truly and honestly vets. With my crap wage that I receive in this country, I still will find some means to put a few dollars in their pocket. I do. So you're telling me that I would be unpatriotic if I don't pledge to a flag? It's a flag. This country doesn't care about me, obviously. This country doesn't care about multiple other African Americans or Hispanics. Because, yes, I'm also Hispanic as well. So you're telling me that I have to, and I'll be unpatriotic otherwise. Actually, the ones who are true patriots are the ones who have fought against tyranny, the ones who have stood up and spoke against injustice, just as I am doing today. So, Donald J. Trump, reality check, I am more of a patriot than you. This is Stephen Powell, and you have watched the U.S. Free Speech.